What was the dumbest rule your school enforced? In elementary, they banned running in aisle. No running on the playground either. They also banned all ball sports, and would take your ball if you took it in from home. And they would put it in the gym cupboard to be used during PE class physical education. Keep in mind that these were for 11-year-olds. So everyone ignored the rules and so many were in detention. I am not sure what we called it. That they had to drop the rule and nothing came of that. Conservative Christian college. A group of us played Age of Empires one weekend. They didn't like it and called a meeting. Everyone involved got misdemeanors on their records. There was nothing in the handbook about it being against the rules. The only person that didn't get any punishment was the son of the president, even though he was just as involved as the rest of us. Was quite interesting explaining the write-up on my record when I transferred. You got a misdemeanor for what? Edit, they made it a rule after the fact and did it several other times with things such as nail polish or radio control helicopters. In my freshman year of high school we had a terrible vandalism problem. The bathrooms would be broken in various ways almost constantly. In a stroke of pure genius, the staff decided that any bathroom that was vandalized would be closed for the week on first offense, the quarter for second, and permanently on the third offense. They took back the rule after closing every bathroom on day one. Holy shit, recently at my high school someone stole a ducking urinal. I have no clue how someone manages to do that. School added thumbprint scanners at gates of school which counted as registration. Needless to say, I would just walk to school, scan my thumb and walk back home with them none the wiser. Was a great few months until they noticed. Locked bathroom doors in the period after lunch. You should have gone at lunch. Also banned duct tape accessories back when that was a trend. They said it was gang activity. You should have gone at lunch. I didn't have to go at lunch. You still should have gone at lunch in case you needed to go. I didn't know I would need to go. One of my middle school teachers took all the doors off the men's room bathroom stalls because of vandalism for 2 months. Same at my school. But for all 4 years, we had no TP or mirrors either. We were not allowed to play tag football at lunch. Only frisbee. When I asked the principal what the difference was, he responded with a sarcastic tone. A football is round and a frisbee is a flat disc. He left the school later that year, went to another school, and a few years later was brought up on charges for failing to report the abuse of a student by a teacher. Prom was a mandatory lockdown for the night in order to avoid students going to parties after prom. Prom was held at various house parties across town instead. In 6th grade they switched out all student chairs for large rubber stability balls. There was a strict no bouncing rule. It was a disaster. Edit, this was in Arizona in the late 90s for those asking. The idea was to promote better posture. My school banned backpacks at one point. To a protest, boys just did not bring anything with them to class and girls brought really big purses. One of the funnier things that happened because of it was an interaction between my friend and a teacher. Teacher, where is your book? Friend, in my backpack. Teacher, and where is that? Friend, at home. No backpacks to class, but purses were allowed. Girls started carrying around purses big enough to be considered a backpack. Guys got pissed, started carrying purses too. I'd wear my backpack on my front and call it a front pack. A really big fanny pack. You couldn't wear any kind of head items that were gang colors red or blue. This included hair bands, scrunchies, beads in your hair, ribbons, anything. I got in trouble for wearing a blue hairband with white polka dots. We had to wear belts. Someone snitched that people were not wearing belts under their sweaters, and they actually checked and a bunch of people got detentions. Stupid. We had belt raids at my school where the dean would burst into classes, completely interrupting any education, to check that everyone was wearing a belt. No jackets. They think we may hide things like phones or bombs there. I hope you grew up in Hawaii. Thanks for the upvotes and awards, unknown humans. Soka 1994, 1997. No hugging. Like at all. First offense was a write-up. Second was detention. Third was in-school suspension. Ah yes. the 90s and 2000s. When the hippie kids born in the 50s and 60s had midlife crises and decided to become the very thing they swore to destroy just to spite a generation for being younger than them at that point. My high school mascot was Daniel Boone holding a musket. A kid wore a Guns N' Roses shirt to school and was told he had to change shirts because of the pistols on the shirt. He pointed out the hypocrisy of the school mascot and they changed everything. The mascot was switched to holding a flagpole instead. Every instance of the mascot was changed from the multiple signs outside and around the school to the giant picture in the middle of our basketball stadium. Holden, you are a ducking legend for this. Hey, at least this shows a consistent internal logic and lack of hypocrisy on the part of school admin, although definitely a lack of self-awareness too. All the kids 6th or 7th grade started putting pink laces in their shoes. Don't know why, but the school officials banned colored laces, saying pink is a gang color. It is Brittany, Bitchshanks, another student. They decided everything bad happened in the last 5 minutes of lunch, so it got 5 minutes shorter each year. Any group more than 5 had to be up to no good. So no groups over 5. Edit: this was not some big city public school for troubled kids. It was a tiny Catholic school in a tiny farming town. The worst offense by a student of the whole time I was there was some kid walking across the street to get a soda from a store. Involved in a fight. Same punishment regardless of fault, and this led to more dangerous fights due to everyone just going for it. Saw people use chairs, cricket bats and anything just to hand. Getting expelled from the school was really hard as it was the last chance school in the area, and after that it was the special reform school. My high school did this, and it was not the last chance school, just a normal public high school. It was such a dumb rule. I got in trouble once for this because I defended myself. Like WTF. You got in trouble if you wore just a Hanes white t-shirt after school because you were in your underwear. Might as well just wear your literal underwear to make a statement. Or just strip entirely. My high school banned t-shirts that had the cover of Rush's album Signals, an album popular at the time, which features an image of a dog sniffing a fire hydrant. They considered it scatological because the dog was about to pee on it. This struck the entire student body as extremely stupid, and roughly 1/2 of the student body picked a day to wear the t-shirt. We won. Imagine how terrible it would be if kids found out that dogs pee. If you were involved in a fight, you got suspended. While it sounds reasonable, context didn't matter. I got suspended once, not for throwing a single punch, kick, whatever. I got suspended because someone knocked the books out of my hand, and when I reached down to grab them they punched me in the face. I got suspended for walking down the hallway and unprovoked getting punched in the face. Duck Brandon Valley Middle School. My buddy got suspended for something similar. His Marine Corps MP mother told him in no uncertain terms that if anyone tried that shit again, burn that. Suspension. Ducking, surprise surprise. The dude tried that again and he went ham on that kid. Busted nose. Torn ear. Black and blue for weeks. The fallout was exactly the same as not fighting back at all, except my buddy got a pat on the back from his mom and a new video game. Tell you what. No one tried that with him again. If it was not zero tolerance, then it would not be a problem. Someone gives you some physical trouble and they get punished. Easy peasy. They have got cameras everywhere. Surely it would be pretty easy to see. Isn't it ironic that zero tolerance policies actually encourage violence? Can't wear too many matching shirts because you could be a gang. This was in regards to a kid with cancer wanting to make a bunch of shirts. My high school was in Butt Duck, Nebraska. American schools seemed to be obsessed with the idea of gangs. The boys in our school were not allowed to have hair that exceeded the width of a finger. Our principal used to check that by running her fingers through their hair. If their hair was long enough to outgrow her fingers, they were sent to a barber shop opposite to our school for a haircut. Dumb and weird. The 200 laser was compulsory and we got detention every single day until we got it. We were all given these ugly planners at the beginning of the school year, with a few pages at the back filled with hall passes. If you did not have your planner, or if all your boxes were filled, you were not allowed to go to the bathroom. And no, you could not buy a new planner, or borrow one from your friend. The only excuse you had was if you had a doctor's note. But no doctor is going to give a note for an upset stomach caused by the school lunch. No touching the walls. They restored a building with historic value using, among other things, period-appropriate paints. They then opened the planned primary school there and proceeded to try to get children to respect the restoration work. So we had a few years of benches in the hallways being 10 centimeters from the wall and children being reprimanded for leaning against the wall before the faculty gave up. A girl and a boy could not sit together. The school employed disciplinarians to roam around the school and monitor this activity. If found, you will get a reprimand. If found repeating the offense, you get sent to the principal office, and if continuing, then eventually escalated to the parents, etc. Our school banned water bottles. For some reason an extreme health water drinking fad started among our girls and they began bringing larger and larger water bottles to school. Eventually the girls were all walking around with giant 5L jugs of water all over the school. It did kinda look ridiculous, and my school was posh and image conscious with very elegant uniforms. So then one day the principal banned all water bottles and said that the girls must drink water from the taps in the bathrooms and the other faucets all over the school grounds. Our city has very clean tap water, so it is safe. No fist bumps. Their reason for this is that kids might accidentally punch the other person in the face. Edit: the school I went to was in a pretty rough area, so there were a lot of incidents where kids ended up getting into fights. No jackets with hoodies. They banned the word snap, since everyone used it instead of shit. So we all just started saying shit. The snap ban lasted about 3 days. Ah shit, my pencil snapped, I mean shat. In grade 8, we were banned from standing in circles at recess because of potential scandalous activity going on in the middle. We stood in squares instead. For a while in my school, groups of kids would stand in circles shouting fight, 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 until a teacher came to break up the non-existent fight. God, we were assholes. Shoes are to be worn as the manufacturer intended. I have no clue who was wearing their shoes incorrectly or how, but this line, verbatim, was repeated to us over the morning announcements when there were perceived infractions at various points throughout the year. No brand name anything in the lunchroom. So you cold and tea, bring a small snack pack of, say, Doritos. In your lunch it had to be in a clear plastic sandwich bag. Also no food or beverage allowed in class. This included bottled water. As an adult I now know the terrible headaches and migraines I suffered in my teen years were caused by dehydration and not being allowed to drink water during the day unless from the nasty water fountain. Middle school had banned salt and pepper from being used in the cafeteria. Claimed it was too unhealthy. Still sold Mountain Dew in the vending machines. School I used to teach at had similar rules. Some bullshit about federal nutrition standards or something. We had just keep them in the teacher's lounge along with hot sauces and chamoy and a few other condiments and leave them on our desks. Attended all girls high school. You had to bring a male date to dances or not attend at all. No going solo or with your girlfriends. So backwards. Suspension as a punishment for skipping school. Do not want to come to school? Well, now you cannot. Until next week. Edit: and no tank tops in a desert climate. Because shoulders are too sexy for school. We cold and tea wear winter clothing, jackets, hats, gloves in class because they were gang symbols. This was a small farm town in Wisconsin. Besides obviously having no gangs, it was ducking cold, even indoors, in the winter. But clearly wearing warm clothing is something only gangs do. They banned hats because hats can be used to signify gang colors. The only major crime group in our area was the Heck Yes Angels, and they certainly weren't having people wear hats for children to signify their allegiance. It was so bad a few years after I graduated I came back to volunteer as a chaperone for a school trip as a favor for my favorite teacher. The principal saw me wearing a beanie from across school. He literally sprinted half a mile to chase me down and tell me to take off the hat. When I told him I wasn't a student and didn't have follow the dress code, he said either take off the hat, leave, or he'd call the cops. It wasn't the actual day of the trip. Just had to show up to get the itinerary and stuff, so I just said, "Duck you. I am out. Idiots." No playing on the mini golf course. Due to the school having mineral rights on oil land in the mid-70s, our school system had huge amounts of money. One thing they did was get 9 concrete animals on the playground for miniature golf. These looked like a lot of fun to play on for kids. And they were concrete, so they were indestructible. They took up 1/3 of the absolute center of the playground. We could not touch them, play on them, or get anywhere near them. In pay, we broke out the putters once in all of grade school. A few years later, they had the high school seniors take them out with sledgehammers. No backpacks in the halls. Oh yeah. Because carrying all of our books between classes was a great ducking idea. Plus, hardly any time between classes to exchange books meant carrying multiple classes things at once. It looks like this is the norm for quite a few people and school districts. Does not make the rule any less stupid. But to be fair, it depends on your school. My middle school was 8 or so classes a day with 3 minutes between classes in a large school where classes could be far away from your locker. My high school was 4 classes in a much smaller building. But my friend's high school was similar to my middle school situation. My freshman dorm at a religious college had a list of rules that filled a legal-sized sheet of paper. It included being in your room for forced study time every night, keeping your towels straight on the towel rack, and making your bed by 9 a.m. every day, including weekends. So if you wanted to sleep in on Saturday morning, you were supposed to get up, make your bed, and then go back to sleep on top of the bed. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.